Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we are looking at Frank Miller's Pandora. This is from Frank Miller Presents. It was created by Frank Miller, written by Frank Miller, Anthony Maranville, and Chris Silvestri. Art and colors by Emma Kubert. Lettered and edited by Pete Carlsson. The cover is also by Emma Kubert, but I really don't like that cover. It just did not sell me on it. The girl's head looks disproportionately large, and it's turned at a weird angle, so it almost looks like her left arm is in front of her neck, which would mean her neck was snapped. So unfortunately, I didn't think the cover really sold it. They could have picked a better image. And this was an $8 book, so it does have a really nice cover, and it is an oversized issue. But that cover just didn't sell me too much on it. So we start off with these little goblin creatures who are trying to get a hold of something that a lot of people have died to get their hands on. And apparently it's a very powerful thing, but when we see it, it just looks like a flower. Unfortunately, it seems to be a lot more than that. And while there are creatures following after them trying to get them, it doesn't look like they have much of a chance. Then we jump over to the real world, the regular world, and we find a young lady named Annabeth. And Annabeth Dean is a bit of a dreamer. She likes to sketch birds and have adventures. She's 15, seems to be pretty happy-go-lucky, except for the fact that her home life is garbage. Her mom runs a sort of boarding house, and there's a lot of kind of creepy weirdos there, including this guy Meeks, who apparently likes to break into her room and go through her stuff, and he finds her diary in there, and he's a real jerk. But they need the boarders to kind of pay the bills, including for her grandfather, who is pretty much wheelchair bound. And the grandfather gives Annabeth this map because she's interested in the birds, but there are other things out there. And obviously Grandpa knows a lot more about what's going on. And it's pretty obvious that Annabeth's school life really stinks. Even though she's smart and she seems to know things, she doesn't have a lot of friends. So when she goes off the beaten track and meets a kind of strange guy out in the woods, because that's never gone horribly wrong ever, she thinks she's found a friend. And this guy's kind of a weirdo. He doesn't know who Romeo and Juliet are. He also doesn't know what music is. And that means you should totally trust them because, yeah, that's not horrifyingly creepy at all. But his name is Knox, and he seems to want to be friends with her. And she almost dies when she finds a pretty flower that looks very familiar that she wants to get her hands on. Unfortunately, that looks like it's gonna be a real problem, but they do seem to like each other. So we're left with the impression that somebody in the family knows a little bit about this flower that maybe they aren't supposed to know. And it's obviously going to send Annabeth on an adventure. I thought this was actually a surprisingly fun adventure story. It's definitely aimed at more teenage audience, but it works well for that. And I was shocked by how much I thought this was a pretty interesting story. It's got a lot of sense of adventure to it, and the curiosity of youth is very apparent, and so is the recklessness of youth, because this girl is just a wide-eyed dreamer, and she doesn't seem to really recognize too much of the danger, except from that creepy Meeks dude. But I thought it was a really good story. $8 might be a lot to pay for it, but the paper quality is really good. The art's solid. Emma Kubert's got an interesting style that I don't always love, but it does work for the book, and I think she's got a lot of talent. There are a few times where the body proportions just don't quite work out, but that'll come with time, obviously, and refinement, and it's usually nitpicking on my part. But I like the art, like the story. What more could you want? So I'm gonna recommend this. I thought it was fun. Obviously, try and find it cheaper than $8. There's a trade paperback coming out in a few months. It might be worth picking it up then, just to save some money, because the subsequent issues are only $4, but that first $8 investment is a pretty harsh investment for something you may or may not like. And I'm glad I liked it, because I would have been a little upset with myself for dropping $8. But if you get a chance to check this out, I'd recommend it so far. We will look at the future issues and see how they go, but I'm pretty impressed. I didn't expect it to be very enjoyable. It looked like a kid's book, but it actually was pretty entertaining. I think this is definitely something girls would be interested in, but anybody that liked Bone or stuff like that probably like it. So that's gonna do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods. And as always, we hope to see you on the next one.